Did you see that shit show on X the other day? Somebody, I guess, on Leafs Twitter suggested that Dakota Joshua can be Toronto's version of Sam Bennett and a little fire on social media. I understand what the person was trying to say, but ultimately, I think the bigger question is like, is it a copycat league? Are teams going to try to be and carve themselves like the Florida Panthers? I will say the vision for the Maple Leafs has been very, very profound in creating sort of stability on the roster, balance on the roster, depth to the bottom six. And I think to this point, Rosie, they have achieved that. Obviously, a pretty significant hole, I would still say, in the top six. But I think if you compare and contrast them to the Florida Panthers right now, I actually think, believe it or not, it's closer than it was in game 7 when they had Mitch Marner on their roster, just because of the stylistic nature of it. The guys they've brought in, I think, fit the mold a bit differently, at least, to give Florida more of a run here.
I mean, I have trouble not agreeing with that. You go back to those games late in a series, and yeah, the 102-point guy's on your thing, but he's not doing anything. Like it's not valuable. He doesn't create. He doesn't add up his 102-point production in those games. It's not there, and then there's nothing behind that, right? So you look at this roster and you're like, I could see these guys getting some mojo and getting into a series and just, have that furrowed brow instead of that scared look on the face, where they know what they're doing. They know who they are. They know what it looks like when things are cooking, and they go out there and they make that happen. And that's an identity, right? And yes, Florida has that. Yes, they took that team to game 7, which I keep having to remind myself as how impressive that is. They got off to a great start in that series, no question. But I think there is an argument for saying that roster looks like everyone being healthy and everyone having a season under their belt with Craig Berube to play a certain style of hockey that is more conducive to winning in the playoffs, that team right there could have a better chance of beating Florida than the team they just had. And that is the whole point here. That is why Tree Living has made the moves that they did. That is why people have said bye to Mitch Marner in this market, because they believe that is the case. And I know there's people laughing at that take, and they're adding up the numbers of these players they've brought in, and they don't add up to Mitch Marner's numbers. But again, we're not looking to get 102 points in the regular season off one guy. We're looking to have a team identity in the playoffs when the going gets tough and you're in the thick of it, and you need to put the fucking hammer down and grind out a win in game 6 or game 7. And that, I think, when you look at that roster, I understand the direction they're going in, and it makes sense that is a roster that could, in fact, do that.
Because ultimately, you look back at game 7, who's not on that Maple Leafs roster? Mitch Marner, Pontus Holmberg. Since then, they've added Nicolas Roy, Michael Pezzetta, Dakota Joshua, Matthias Michelli. From the Florida perspective, the only guy of substance they really lost, like I know they lost a couple other guys, but Nate Schmidt, they lost Vanacek, their backup goalie, didn't play, but Nate Schmidt goes to Utah, I believe. They replaced him with Jeff Petrie. So the Florida Panthers this time last year weren't as good as they are now, and I don't think the Leafs were as good as they are now. Like, I think the depth perspective, a lot different. If you go back and look at the bottom 6, what it looked like opening night to now, it is night and day, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. And, I think we're pointing towards the question is are the Florida Panthers a team to beat still? I think they 100% are. You just have to look at, free agency this year, and you're just like, did they honestly lock up the same goddamn team until 2030? I think they absolutely are, because they're proven. They have the coach that knows what to do. They have the system that works against everybody. They have the players who are committed to it. They have the superstars there. They have the goaltenders. They have the toughness. They have the attitude. They have the D. They've got it all. But we don't know how this season's going to go. I mean, Bobrovsky could get hurt, and they could just kind of fall off the planet. They could try to do the same things, and it just doesn't quite work the same. Maybe they're a little tired. They got that going to 3 finals in a row hangover going, and And then Maurice starts to get pissed off on why this team's not responding. Like, things happen in a season that could add up to them not quite having their fastball this year. We don't know. But as of right now on paper, it certainly looks like they're the team to beat. But I think you're right in saying you look at our roster and there's reason to believe that they could match up against them better than they have in the past. And they just went to Game 7 with that team who ended up winning it all.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.